Welcome, welcome, welcome. I would like to welcome you to episode 439 of the Unpopular Podcast. This is the man, the myth, the legend, Jalen Hunter. Here at the Unpopular Podcast, I'm not really asked you to agree with me. I'm asking you to hear me out. Let's start this episode by defining what an exhibition is. Because I'm hearing there's a lot of talk after the Team USA exhibition with Canada. Now, the easy answer, the easy definition to an exhibition is a game that doesn't matter too much. A game that is used for different purposes, but ultimately it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of a record. It doesn't matter in a grand scheme of a season, of a tournament. It's just like a practice game, pretty much. That is the easy version, the easy explanation to a exhibition. And while I do agree, and it is true that the Team USA Canada exhibition didn't matter in the grand scheme of things when we talk about records or when we talk about, wins and losses, I think that it was vitally, is that a word? That might be. I've used that a lot here. I don't know if that's a word. Or if it is a word, I don't know if I'm using it correct. But it mattered immensely to Team USA. Not in a big, okay, they're now gonna go win gold or whatever. But it did matter in a sense of let's talk about the exhibition with Canada. So Team USA, they started their showcase, they started their exhibition tour with a game against Canada. And Team USA won 86-72. The stars of the night were Steph Curry. I think he had 10 or 11 points, 10 points. Where'd he have? Where's the points at? Where are the points? Well, Steph Curry, I think Anthony Edwards led everyone with scoring, but I think Steph Curry was second or something like that. Now, let me talk about some things that I liked about the exhibition and I liked about Team USA going forward. And let me talk about some things that I'm not going to say are concerning, but things that I didn't really like. Let's start with the positives. Actually, yeah, let's start with the positives. The reason why I said that this was a very important game for Team USA is because this is the first time they're playing against competition that really is looking to beat them. Now, I know that you can say, well, they played the select team. Cooper Flag was good, and they beat the select team, I think, by one. I think it was 74-73. And while, yes, that is important, that is a good litmus test of how good you are as a team, there's a different level of competition. There's a different level of focus. There's a different approach that you have when you're going against a team that has no quarrels, that has no intentions of positivity. They want to beat you, whether it's an exhibition or not. If you're going against a team that doesn't have any, oh man, that's LeBron James, oh man, that's Steph Curry, you're not going against a team that has starry eyes when they see you. You're going against a team that wholeheartedly believes they should win. So that's a different level of competition. While, again, it was an exhibition and ultimately doesn't matter in the grand scheme of a record, this was a big game, seeing as though Team USA, the last time they did play Team Canada, they lost. I think it was the third place in FIBA. They lost. So this was a big game as far as bragging rights. This was a big game as far as, a litmus test of how good this team is going to be. This was an important game for Canada because all you're hearing is Team Canada is the number one competitor, the number one team that could upset Team USA. When you trot out a team that has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who obviously finished, I think, third in MVP voting this year, when you have Jamal Murray, who's a champion, when you have Dylan Brooks, when you have all a bunch of NBA players, RJ Barrett. This team, there's not a level of awe because you're playing alongside or you're playing against a lot of these Team USA players every night. So I did like how you could tell, especially early on, you can tell the competition level was there. I know Team Canada jumped out to a 10 or 11-1 lead, and it was looking bleak. But that goes into the second thing that I liked. I like how Team USA, this is the first time where your lineups really matter. This is the first time where you're getting to learn. Obviously, practice is practice, but I always say the best way to learn how good you are or the best way to learn how to play something is through the game. I'm not always the fan of just throw them in and they'll figure it out. That's not always the best thing, but when you're Team USA, you're not going to know how good you are, and you're not going to really know people's tendencies. You're not going to know, what people like, where people like the ball until you're playing against competition. So what Team USA did is what they used this exhibition to learn, the Steph Curry, how to play with Steph Curry because he's a different level of player. How to play with LeBron James, how to play with Joel Embiid, how to play with Jason Tatum, how to play with Anthony Edwards. I loved how it was it was apparent that there was nerves with Team USA because this is. Even though it isn't an exhibition, it's important that Team USA puts on a good show. It's important that Team USA shows that this team not only is serious about winning, but this team is different from the previous teams that obviously didn't reach the goals that they wanted to. The reason why this Team USA team has been constructed is because there's sort of a stain on the name Team USA basketball. Again, not even medaling, I think, in the last FIBA, not finishing first in the last Olympics, I believe, when they had Kemba Walker and Draymond Green and all those players. That the reason why people are saying that the world is caught up to Team USA, not just because of some of the great foreign players that we have, but because of the last time we've seen Team USA compile teams, it has been lackluster. So there is a level of I'll say importance to this team. There's a level of urgency. There's a level of pride that they're trying to snatch back from the world. So you can tell early on in this exhibition that people were nervous. Again, they were just missing shot after shot after shot. I think the first field goal came with Steph Curry hit a three, but at that point it was already 11-1. So in that sense, while obviously you don't like a team to start slow, I do like how once Team USA got back into rhythm, and you can tell that they use this exhibition to figure out how to play with each other. And you also could tell that they didn't take it as seriously as far as they're not looking at it as a real game because they kept doing platoon swap outs, meaning 5 in, 5 out, 5 in, 5 out. It was very rare that maybe one or two players would go in for another. It was like, all right, the whole bench lineup, and because you're Team USA, you can do that. But obviously, you don't want to do that when it matters the most, because you want some type of tranquility. You want some type of you want players that play better alongside each other. So, I liked how Team USA approached this exhibition. I liked the fact that they use it as kind of a feeling out of each other and learning how to play with each other. Another thing I liked, obviously Team USA won, so that was cool. But another thing that I liked is and I'm gonna kind of explain this a little bit more in what I didn't like. But one thing that I did like, the conversation going into the exhibition and all through Team USA training camp has been who is going to start. I put out a video about it. I put out a reel about it. A bunch of bigger media sports outlets have been talking about it. The conversation has been who is going to start. When you have a team this deep, when you have a team with the amount of names that you have, that is obviously going to be a question. And it's what I needed to see was who is going to be aggressive. There's always, obviously, there's different agendas going into the exhibition. Meaning, again, some people were just trying to, break a sweat. Some people were trying to feel out how to play with other people. And you can tell early on who was trying to make a statement. Like, I loved how aggressive Anthony Edwards was. I came out and said that Anthony Edwards should be the starter. And he came out aggressive. One of the reasons why he scored the most is because he was the most aggressive the whole night. I think Anthony Edwards took, even though it was just 10 shots, he took the most shots. Actually, him and Anthony Davis took the most shots with 10. And he was aggressive, getting to the basket, shooting the ball. You can tell. That's one thing that I'm not going to say nervous about, because when you hear him talk, when you just know the type of person that he is, or at least see on the basketball court, there's not really much that phases him. There's not really much that puts fear into him. But one of the reasons why I said that he should start, and I loved the confidence saying that, hey, I'm still the best player here. They got to build around me. That is confidence. That's something that you can't really teach. But there's difference saying it than there's actually, let me say it like this. There's a difference when you say it, and compared to how you are on a basketball court, how you are playing along, like literally playing alongside LeBron, playing alongside Steph, playing alongside KD, even though KD didn't play. And then you have to back that up. And I loved how, I think what helped him a lot was the platoon swap out. So it was very rare that Anthony Edwards played alongside Steph Curry. It was rare that he played alongside LeBron James. He was not pretty much playing, with Anthony Davis and Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum. And I understood that, Now, again, it is a little different, and I understand this is the first exhibition, so I get how the platoon swap outs were working and how it helped. But I did like how aggressive Anthony Edwards was. It was just great. And I think the last thing I'm going to stay on as far as what I liked is, well, not the last thing, but another thing that I liked is Steph Curry. Steph Curry kind of brings a level, even though, don't get me wrong, he is still the ultimate competitor. He's still one of the greatest guards we've ever seen in the league. He's still Steph Curry at the end of the day. But I loved when they were down 11-1, and you can tell that the room was tight. Even though that the first points was the first field goal was Steph Curry hitting a three. That wasn't the first shot, that he did. I liked how, maybe it was because it was an exhibition and they knew that in the grand scheme of things it didn't matter, but I loved how Steph Curry was aggressive, and I liked the fact of, you can tell he was the calming factor. He was hey, we're still Team USA. Let's chill out here. Let's just get it together. I mean, Steph Curry, he radiated not just confidence, but calmness. Even when he was posing for the camera, at that point, they were already up. But I did like, and I wanted to see, there's a difference between playing FIBA and playing the Olympics. And again, I will continue to preface this by saying that this is an exhibition, but I wanted to see, how Steph Curry fared on a bigger stage. Because obviously, again, FIBA is not on the same level as the Olympics. So I did like that. And the last thing that I liked, I guess I would say, is that Team USA won. Again, you were going this. You can't go and it would behoove me to come in here and beat my fist on the table saying, I told you nobody can beat Team USA. I told you Team USA is gonna a cakewalk through this. That it would be naive of me doing that, seeing as though this was an exhibition. But I did like the fact that they won. Again, you were going against a team that clearly was uber focused on beating you. When you listen to, some of the things that Dylan Brooks was talking about, and when you see they were aggressive. Kelly Olynyk was aggressive. Like they wanted to win. And the fact that you overcame that and pulled out a decisive win. I mean, 86-72. That was a 14-point win. I did like that, and the fact one thing I'm just excited, and I do not envy Team USA, the coaching staff at all, because it's already difficult trying to build rosters and trying to build lineups that go cohesive with each other. Well, I'm sure it's 10 times harder when you're trying to build around let's say you're trying to build a starting five, you're trying to build lineups, and one of the most integral pieces of that lineup isn't there, and that's Kevin Durant. Now, they're saying that it is a minor calf injury, and you don't want to risk anything playing an exhibition, which I understand completely, but it is. I'm sure it's tough when you see, how the lineup goes, or when you're trying to build lineups and one of the most integral pieces isn't there. But in the same breath, it is good knowing that Kevin Durant, even though I do think that he's uberly important, there's not one player here that I think feels they need to take over. Now, obviously, there will be games where they take over, but I don't think that there's a need to. When you have an uber amount of talent and you're able to win against, again, albeit an exhibition, you're able to win against a team that a lot of people are saying is your biggest competition, and one of the teams that could obviously upset you, seeing as though the last time we see them play a meaningful game against Canada, they lost. So I did like that. There weren't really much I didn't like. The one thing that kind of scares me, and now if it happens, it happens. It is what it is. But let's just go to it. I understand, I talked about this early on. I understand the importance of team building when it comes to Team USA. I understand that it's not as easy as just bringing the best players, the biggest names on one team. You have to be able to build, you have to be able to construct a team. I get that. I also understand that each player on this team is here for a different reason. Obviously, the main goal is to win a championship. Every player, not championship, I'm sorry, an Olympic gold medal. Every player, everyone that is repping a Team USA jersey, repping a Team USA patch because they're the coaching staff, their goal is to win a gold medal. I'm not saying it's not, but everyone is there for a different reason. Meaning, Kevin Durant is obviously there for scoring. He is there for his immense scoring pressure that he puts on the other team. Steph Curry is there for his shooting. He's there because he's the greatest three-point shooter of all time, and they need three-point shooting. Anthony Edwards is there for his scoring. You know what I'm saying? Every person is there for a different reason. Even though they all collectively have the same goal, they're there for a different reason. Their skill set is needed in different areas. And I get, and at first I was confused, but I get why Jrue Holiday is on this team. At first I was confused because I kind of fell into that, well, there's bigger names that could fit. And there's better players that I would pick if I was compiling a team. I would pick over Jrue Holiday. But I understand it. I understand that Jrue Holiday is there mainly for his defense and his leadership, but that's that goes into the first thing that I don't like. I understand it's just an exhibition. Again, I will continue to say that. And what we see in exhibition 1 doesn't mean that we're going to see the same lineups, doesn't mean that we're going to see the same substitution habits in game 1 of the Olympics. But I don't think Jrue Holiday should be starting. Again, it was last episode where I said that I believe that the starting position should go, or the starting 2 guards should go to Anthony Edwards. While I understand that you'd be like, well, that takes a huge scoring punch off the bench. Well, you have Anthony Davis, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jrue Holiday coming off the bench. What else scoring punch do you need? and it goes, that's kind of the underbelly of what I'm talking about. How much of something do you need? Again, it's all about team building. Cool. But when you say, well, Jrue Holiday's there for defense and Tyrese Halliburton's there because they need a passer, you're telling me that LeBron James can't defend. You're telling me that Anthony Edwards can't defend. You're telling me that Jason Tatum can't defend. You're telling me that Kevin Durant can't defend. Obviously, Jrue Holiday is a better defender than most of them. Actually, probably all of them. But what I'm saying is, if you want Jrue Holiday on the team, just say you want him on the team. Don't say we need him for defense. No, you don't. You have plenty of defense on this team. Which goes into my next point. And don't get me wrong. I know this is saying, it sounds like I'm saying that Jrue Holiday should not be on this team. I'm not saying that. I agree that Jrue Holiday is a good acquisition, a good fit for this team. I just don't think Jrue Holiday should be in the starting lineup. That's just it. I just don't think. I don't think he needs to be in the starting lineup. I get the argument of, well, if you put Anthony Edwards in the starting lineup, that's too many ball handlers or too many people that need the ball in their hands to score. Bruh, if he comes off the bench, you have Jason Tatum, who needs the ball in his hand, Tyrese Halliburton, who definitely needs the ball in his hand, Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Davis. So I don't want to hear that. But hey, if he does start, I still think that this is a really good. I don't really see a team that can beat Team USA. And now let's talk about the last thing I don't like, and it kind of bridges to our next topic. Again, I said I understand the importance of team building. And I understand the importance of fit. That is a constant theme on this podcast. Fit matters. Again, if this was a 2K simulator, if this was a NBA 2K, if this was building the ultimate team, building my team, then yes, I would have every single star that is American on this team. And Wouldn't think twice. Probably go 82-0. Probably win the championship. Probably win Worlds or the Olympics. But that's how 2K is. The controversy coming out of not just the first exhibition, but Team USA in general, is the exit of Kawhi Leonard and the entrance of Derrick White. Let me first say, I was shocked when Kawhi Leonard reported to camp. I was like, how the hell is Kawhi Leonard healthy enough to be in camp, but not healthy enough to play for the Clippers in the playoffs? Now, yes, I understand he played a game, or maybe two, but one of the biggest reasons why Dallas overcame the Clippers in the first round is because Kawhi Leonard was not available. So to see him play for Team USA, I understand there's probably some frustration somewhere. Like someone is looking and saying, yo, how the hell, someone in the Clippers organization is probably like, how the hell are you playing in Team USA, but you can't even report to us, the team that's paying you? So I'm sure they chalked it up as, he's not ready, which he didn't look ready. He came in with the leg sleeve. He came in with a limp. He just didn't. That's why I was shocked that he even reported. And I'm sure, again, somebody in his camp and somebody with the Clippers was like, hey, get your ass. Like, come on, bro. We're not doing this here. Ain't no good and goddamn way you are representing Team USA and you can't even finish the season. No. That's another reason why I was kind of shocked that Joel Embiid played and still reported. That's another thing, bro. Joel Embiid, you can't foul out, bro. He's gonna have to really get adjusted to the physicality of Olympic play. But yeah, back to what I was saying. My thing is this: if you're going to replace Kawhi Leonard, who is a forward, might I add you. In fact, let me see how tall Kawhi Leonard is. Kawhi Leonard. He's 6'7". If you're going to replace Kawhi Leonard with somebody, you either do one or two things, in my opinion. You replace him with a player that can play the same position or that can do a lot of the similar things that he can do, or you replace him with the next best available player. So if you're going to replace Kawhi Leonard, why don't you replace him with someone that can play the 2 through the 4, that also has defensive capabilities, that also has scoring capabilities? That is probably who you should replace him with. Or if you're not going to go that route, replace him with the next best player. Don't get me wrong, bro. I have nothing against Derrick White outside of the fact that he plays for the Boston Celtics. I have no quarrels about Derrick White. I think Derrick White is a good player. I think that he has built himself up from where he was at the beginning of his NBA career to where he is now. It's an incredible story. I have nothing bad to say about Derrick White. But what I don't understand is why Derrick White, and we heard this weeks ago when there was real doubt that Kawhi Leonard was even going to show up. They were saying that Derrick White is the strong candidate to replace him. And I'm just trying to think why. Why Derrick White? You already have a player that you already have a player that probably will play similar to Derrick White, but you hope is better, and that's Jrue Holiday, his teammate. But why Derrick White over the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, the NBA champion, and the NBA Finals MVP in Jaylen Brown? Which is why Jaylen Brown was confused as well. You know, talking about it on social media is like, yo, I understand what's happening here. How is it that, don't get me wrong, I understand they're teammates, and no offense to Derrick White, but how is Derrick White the option when you had Jaylen Brown that was available? And obviously, because I was saying, well, maybe they turned it down. Seeing how Jaylen Brown reacted, there's no way in heaven and hell he turned it down. He clearly wanted to play. But how did Derrick White get the nod over Jaylen Brown? $300 million player, Finals MVP, Eastern Conference Finals MVP. How did he get it over Paul George? I know that there's a fraction of people that don't like Paul George or whatever, cool. But Paul George was an MVP finalist, obviously with OKC. He led the Clippers to a Eastern or Western Conference Finals, and he's fairly healthy. He's Paul George. So how's Paul George? And I get it, the controversy or whatever that's made, you know, I get it. But how is Derrick White over FIBA MVP Kyrie Irving? What I'm saying is, or there's a bunch of players like Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler could probably the same thing that Kawhi Leonard was going to give Team USA. I'm sure Jimmy Butler could have gave you. So Jimmy Butler could have done it. Again, if you're going to go about best available player, why not go with a Jalen Brunson, who was a MVP candidate this year? If you want someone with a similar build as Kawhi Leonard, why not go with Mikal Bridges? What I'm saying is this, bro. There's no way that you can say that this is just about team building, because you didn't even, in this Derrick White situation, that you can't say that it's about team building, it's the best fit for the team, because it's not. Derrick White, for what this team needs, what Kawhi Leonard gave them compared to what Derrick White gave or is going to give them, is not similar. If we want to say that there's a hole somewhere, that would be the hole. The hole is Kawhi Leonard gives them incredible on-ball defense, and while Derrick White is a good defender, not as good as Kawhi Leonard, and he's definitely not as good as a player as Kawhi Leonard. So it's just like, I just don't get it. They say that it's about team building, but you didn't team build right. They say that he's the best fit, but no, he's not. He is not the best fit at all. I just named a list of players that's a better fit than Derrick White. And obviously, a lot of those players, like Jaylen Brown, feels the same way. I don't think that there's any malice that Jaylen Brown has for Derrick White, but what I do think is Jaylen Brown sees what we all see is like something. 2 and 2 ain't equaling 4. Every single player I just named is better than Derrick White. And again, no offense to Derrick White. I'm not hating on Derrick White at all. I'm just telling the truth. And Derrick White is a fine player, but in no way, shape, or form do I think anyone, probably outside of the Boston area, is picking Derrick White over Kyrie, Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Jaylen Brown. I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me. What you could have said, which seems like the truth, is we just like Derrick White. There's probably connection somewhere, because I was kind of leaning on the same side as Jaylen Brown. Is like, is it because of his I guess ongoing beef and tiffs with Nike? And it could be it. That could be it. But then you'll say, well, Anthony Edwards is Adidas and Steph Curry is Under Armour. Yeah, well, We're talking about Anthony Edwards and Stephen Curry. We're not talking about no chumps. We're talking about the best of the best. So while they get a pass, obviously, in fact, while they get a pass, I don't see nobody else that Devin Booker is Nike, LeBron James is LeBron James, Joel Embiid is starter, I think, or Skechers, but that's Joel Embiid. Yeah, it could be because of Jaylen Brown's ongoing beef with Nike, but say that. Say it with your chest. I understand they would never say that, but let's be honest about it. There's no other reason why you would pick Derrick White, not just over Jaylen Brown, but over a bunch of players. I don't know. But I do say all that to say that even with Derrick White, Team USA, I again don't see a team that can beat them, honestly. So I do think that Canada does cause problems. I do think that Serbia is going to be tough when you have Bogdanovic, when you have obviously Nikola Jokic. But yeah, KD didn't even play, and they won by 14. So let's move forward. Embarrassment hits people differently. Embarrassment, no one likes to feel embarrassed. And honestly, nobody really wants to see other people get embarrassed. It's just an uncomfortable feeling when you see firsthand embarrassment. But with embarrassment, people, organizations, teams, countries, anyone, they react to embarrassment different. Let's not get it twisted here. Team USA soccer, men's soccer, was embarrassed in Copa America. Obviously, there was a irrational thought for a lot of people that they were going to win it. Cool. I'm not one of those people. I'm not shocked that they didn't win. It's Team USA men's soccer is not a powerhouse. They have names that are big, but it's not a powerhouse in as far as soccer. So I'm not shocked that they didn't win. Where the embarrassment comes in, and where I was shocked at, and where I'm sure a lot of people, including the higher-ups in Team USA, was shocked at, is that the host country, who is the United States, did not even advance out of the group stages. That is where the embarrassment comes in. That is where you look and say, how are you the host nation? And you can't, I'm not saying you have to win, but how are you the host nation and you can't even make it out of the group stages? Those are like the worst of the worst teams don't make it out the group stages. Those are like, not making out the group stage is like, we just gave you an invitation because we needed to fill some spots. No one thought that you had a chance of winning, let alone advancing out the group stages, but we just needed to fill Copa America with teams, and you got the invite. So, for Team USA, who is the host nation? I cannot stress enough how important that piece of this puzzle is. When you're the host nation, people look at you differently. Again, I don't think that anybody that has since thought that Team USA was going to win Copa America. But I did think, because you're the host nation, this is home field advantage pretty much, that you had an advantage. that you were looked at as, usually if you're the host team, you're looked at in some instances as a superior team, because they're not going to go to no, as unfortunate as it is, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, it's just honest. They're not going to go to a third world country and let them host Copa America. That's just not happening. They're going to go to an established country that has name to it, that has cachet, and that team, that host nation, is supposed to be competitive. The fact that you were not competitive and you were still the host nation not only is a terrible look for your nation, but it is embarrassing. Which is why you saw such energetic responses to Team USA's loss by a lot of former players. Like I said, people respond differently to embarrassment. This was probably one of the lowest moments for Team USA in a while, and there has been some low moments. But to be the host country of Copa America and not even make it out the group stages is a low bar. Is a low bar for Team USA. And how they responded to their embarrassment is firing Gregg Berhalter, who was, I'm not going to say the longtime coach, but who was the coach for Team USA. When you get embarrassed like you did, when Team USA loses the way that they did, something has to happen. There's no way that, how do I say this in a way that non-soccer fans would understand? When you have a team that is projected for greatness, when you have a team that has a lot of young stars, when you have a team that is projected to be one of the best teams that you have ever coached, that you have ever seen for that particular team, for that particular country, for that particular sport. And not only do you not reach your goal, but you don't even come remotely close to it, things have to change. There's no way that you can run it back next year or run it back again another time and nothing has changed, because it's like at that point you're thinking, well, there's a difference of making out the group stages and losing maybe the first or second game. That means that you were at least amongst some of the best teams. You just ran into a better team. No, making out the group stage is saying you weren't even a part of the other. Like you weren't even. You should not have even tried. Reports are saying that Gregg Berhalter pretty much lost the locker room, lost the team. They stopped listening to him, and there needed to be a response to embarrassment. Now, I have been very consistent on this podcast in saying that I'm not one to outright blame the coach, because the coach isn't out there drawing plays. The coach isn't out there shooting the ball. They're not out there kicking the ball in the net. The coaches aren't playing. But when I do say that, or when I understand and when I agree that a coach needs to be out of there, is when you lose the locker room. When your voice is not respected enough anymore to be listened to be heard. And what it looks like is Team USA, the higher-ups of Team USA looked and said, we are embarrassed. This is not a great representation of us. What happened? And how can we react to this? And what it seems like is Gregg Berhalter did not have the respect from his players, did not have his respect from his bosses enough to keep his job. And while I'm usually, hey, the coach isn't out there playing, bro. Like, why would you blame the coach? I understand it because it did look like, and when you listen to some of the interviews after, there wasn't much praise for Gregg Berhalter, and there wasn't much people trying to defend him from keeping this, like, there, which kind of shows that he lost the locker room. Team USA needs another voice. Because there's a difference between underachieving against an opponent that you can look eye to eye and say, hey, I understand. That's a great opponent. We lost. And don't get me wrong, Panama is a good opponent. Uruguay is a good opponent. But there's a difference between that and getting embarrassed. And don't get me wrong. Maybe I'm not doing a good job at explaining it. Being the host country for Copa America and not even advancing out of the group stages is embarrassing. And that is on top of a lot of the underachieving that we've seen Team USA do over the years. It just felt like this was the cherry on top. So I don't know where Team USA goes from here. I don't know who's going to be their next coach, but Gregg Berhalter is out. And not an ounce of me is surprised. I'll just say that. Let's move forward. And I kind of wanted to, there was an article that came out, and I wanted to talk about the state of the Phoenix Suns for a second. And I want to show this. The Phoenix Suns situation is a prime example of what. How do I let me try to get this together. Let me try to get this into a cohesive sentence. What we're seeing out of the Phoenix Suns is an example of how an organization can very quickly go from promise to poverty. I talk about poverty franchises a lot. I talked about the Chicago Bulls and how they've been in such a rut since Michael Jordan or since the early Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler days. I even talked about my favorite franchise in the Washington Wizards and how they have not been to the conference finals since the 70s, 80s. Talk about the Detroit Pistons. They haven't been good since 2004, 2005, maybe 2006. Yeah, they had a playoff year with Blake Griffin, but nobody thought that team was going to win. So I've been talking about poverty. I'm very open to when a team that is a poverty franchise is making poverty-type moves, I am first to speak on it, like, honestly. But what the Phoenix Suns are doing is poverty franchise-like moves. The article that came out was saying that the Phoenix Suns is the first team in NBA history to eclipse a $400 million payroll. To put that into perspective, the Golden State Warriors didn't even have the Golden State Warriors that had Steph, Clay, Dre, KD did not even have a $400 million payroll. And you're probably saying to yourself, well, Jalen, yeah, when you have Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, all making upwards of $50 million a year pretty much, yeah, you're going to have a high payroll. And for that, I'm saying you're right. I'm not shocked that the payroll is as high as it is. What I'm saying is that is the issue. The issue is you're trotting out a team that has the highest payroll in NBA history, yet and still, I don't think this team is anywhere closer to a championship than they were last year. I understand, and I do think that they will be better this year because a lot of the year they were struggling with maintaining consistency because of injury. They didn't play a lot of games. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker did not play a lot of games together because one of the three was injured majority of the time. If it wasn't Bradley Beal, it was KD. If it wasn't KD, Devin Booker missed time. There was a good chunk of the season that they did not play together at all. And I understand that that's probably going to be different next year. Next year, hopefully they're all healthy. Hopefully they get an ample amount of time on the floor together. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to trot out a $400 million payroll, even healthy, that's one thing that I've talked about a lot. When we talk about big threes and how important it is that each player in the big three does something different than another, each one of these players do the same exact thing. They're all scorers. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. All three are score first. While, yes, Kevin Durant might be able to play a better version of defense than Durant and Devin Booker, while, yes, Devin Booker might be a better point guard, they all three do the same thing, which is why that big three did not work last year, which is why, this is the highest payroll in NBA history for a team that just got swept. And now, which is why I'm a little shocked, because I thought they were going to try to avoid this. I thought that one of the big three was gone, whether Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, or Devin Booker. I thought one of them was at least going to get traded. I get you have three of the better scorers in the league. You're probably going to want to try to run it back, seeing as though a lot of them were injured. But I thought that they were going to try to avoid this at all costs. I thought they were going to try to avoid the second apron at all costs. Now, I don't know if they're at the second apron yet, but I do know that the team with the highest payroll in NBA history is not even close to a championship. And it's not because they don't have great players. I think Kevin Durant's a great player. I think Bradley Beal has a chance to be a great player, or has moments where he's a great player. I think Devin Booker has moments when he's a great player. But as a team, they're not a good team. Look who just won the championship. The Boston Celtics. The team in which not only did they have by far the best record in the regular season, but they were allotted the best team in basketball. And ironically, look who they beat. The Dallas Mavericks. a team that, while they did overachieve, what their issue was, they leaned too heavily on one-on-one ISO ball, and when other people had to step up, they were not able to. I'm not gonna go as far as saying that the Phoenix Suns are a poverty franchise. I mean, when you have the likes of Kevin Durant and them, I'm not gonna say that. But what I am saying is, when you have the highest payroll in NBA history, and in my opinion, you're not close to a championship. Because again, think about this. Next year, who would you pick? The Suns or Denver? OKC, Sacramento, Minnesota, Golden State. Did I say Denver? Dallas. I'm sure that Phoenix has a good shot with most of all those teams, but it's going to be a gauntlet next year. It's going to be a hell of a year for the Western Conference next year. I forgot to say the Lakers. And I think if you're going to be the highest payroll in NBA history, you should definitively be better than a lot of those teams that I just said, a lot of the teams that you're going to be going against on a nightly basis and that you're going to have to go through to get to an NBA championship. And I can't, in my right mind, say that the Phoenix Suns are decisively better than any of those teams. And that is why I'm saying, while I'm not going to call them a poverty franchise, I'm saying they're making poverty moves, which is crazy because poverty means like pretty much broke and you're the highest payroll. What I'm saying, what I mean by poverty is you're making decisions that are taking you further and further away from the ultimate goal, which is win a championship. I'm not saying they're broke. I'm saying you're not making championship caliber moves. And I would understand, and I wouldn't be shocked if it said the Boston Celtics was the highest pay or had the highest payroll in NBA history. I'm like, well, I get it. You have two players is making over $300 million and you just won a championship. I would understand if they said the Dallas Mavericks or the Denver Nuggets were the highest payroll. I get it. One team just went to the finals. The other team just won it a year ago. I get it. That's not what it said. It said the Phoenix Suns are the highest payroll in NBA history. A team that just got swept. So, lastly, before we go, this is me acknowledging something. Every single time I have a wrestling topic, I preface it by saying that I don't watch wrestling anymore. I used to watch it heavy as a kid, probably a little, not as heavy, but still in my younger teenage years. And once I started getting into my 20s and late 20s, I just stopped watching it. You know, I may watch the highlights of a pay-per-view here and there. I may watch and check up on the results of a WrestleMania or a Summer Jam or something like that, but I don't watch wrestling. That's just what it is. And no offense to anyone that does watch wrestling. I'm not here bashing it. I'm not here bashing you guys or girls. I'm just saying, hey, I am not a wrestling fan anymore. I don't know what's going on. I don't know half the fighters. I don't know half any of them. I know Roman Reigns, and I know some of the older people. Like I know Randy Orton's still fighting. I don't know if Jeff Hardy still fights. I don't know. But it was announced, or John Cena announced that he will be retiring from wrestling. First of all, I didn't know John Cena was 47 years old. That in and of itself was crazy. I'm like, wait, what? John Cena's 47? God damn. I didn't know that. But what I do know, and why I wanted to end the show with this, is because now this happened, I think, about a week ago. And while I didn't say it on Wednesday's episode, it just fell through the cracks, which I apologize. I did need to speak on it at least now, or at least this episode. I'm not saying that if it wasn't for certain players, if it wasn't for certain people, there wouldn't be sports. Like, I will never go on there and say that if it wasn't for Michael Jordan, we wouldn't have the NBA. If it wasn't for Serena Williams, if it wasn't for Roger Federer, we wouldn't have tennis. If it wasn't for, let's say, Babe Ruth, Barry Bonds, we wouldn't have baseball. I'm not saying that. If it wasn't for Tom Brady, we wouldn't have football. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you can look at those players. You can look at a Michael Jordan and connect the popularity spiking in the NBA because of him. While I think that we would still have basketball would not be a premier sport, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the likes of a Michael Jordan or a Magic Johnson or Larry Bird or Allen Iverson or Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. Players and their popularity and obviously their skill helped it grow to what it is today. Obviously there would be football if Joe Montana wasn't playing, but because of the popularity of Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Dan Marino and John Elway and Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady and Randy Moss, that is the reason why Lawrence Taylor. That's the reason why football is so big. When you look at wrestling, there's a few names that are synonymous with wrestling. WWE, WWF. There's a few names that's synonymous with it. There's a few names that you can look directly at their success and credit the popularity of the sport because of them. Hulk Hogan's one of them. You can feel how you feel about, his personal life and some of his beliefs. Cool. I'm not here speaking on that. But what I am speaking is wrestling would not be as big as it was if it wasn't for someone like a Hulk Hogan, someone like a Ric Flair, someone like a Stone Cold Steve Austin, someone like a Shawn Michaels, someone like a Triple H, someone like The Rock, someone like Undertaker, and someone like John Cena. Just like there's a generation of people now that are going to say that Kevin Durant is their favorite player, or Steph Curry is their favorite player of all time, or there's people that say LeBron James is the greatest of all time. That's their point of view. There is a generation of people that's saying that, or that is going to say, and that say currently that John Cena not only is the greatest wrestler of all time, but he is the most popular wrestler of all time, or he is he's the person that got them into wrestling. When moments like this happen, this is one of the rare times where wrestling, WWE, wrestling in real life kind of collide. Not in a bad way. But this is one of those rare times because when you look at these figures, when you look at someone like an Undertaker, when you look at someone like John Cena, it never really comes into your mind that these are real people. And just like in real life, these people have to retire, have to hang it up sometime. Again, I was more shocked at the fact that John Cena's 47. I was like, oh shit, this nigga kind of old to be jumping off of ropes, doing you can't see me celebrations. He's kind of old. His body at some point ain't gonna take it. These are real people. When the Undertaker retires, I'm like, damn, the Undertaker retired, and then you look at his age, like, oh shit, he's over 50. Hold on now. He's been doing this for a good minute. When Ric Flair retires, like, damn, Ric Flair was like, hold up, he's over 60. Lord, have mercy, I'm not saying that we wouldn't have a WWE. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be popular. But what I am saying is John Cena is one of those names that you can attach the growth, the popularity, the success to the sport to him. Not just him, but him. John Cena is one of the pillars of the WWE. And this is me saying congratulations to his retirement, because as we're seeing with a lot of wrestlers, a lot of people in high energy, high octane sports, a lot of times you don't get to leave on your own terms, especially 47. So this is me saying congratulations to John Cena for announcing his retirement from in-ring competition. And this is me acknowledging how important John Cena was to the success and the growth of WWE, and how there's a lot of kids that he is their GOAT. I keep hitting this mic. There's a lot of kids that he is their GOAT, and rightfully so. So congratulations and shouts out to John Cena for being able to do what you want to do on your own terms. Shouts out to you. And I guess from the kid and teenage me, because he was wrestling when I was watching, when I was a teenager. Thank you for being entertaining a lot of my teenage years. Shouts out to you, man. And there you have it. That's been today's episode of the Unpopular Podcast. I truly, truly, truly appreciate you guys. If you want an Unpopular Podcast shirt, hoodie, sweater, long sleeve joggers, the link is in the description below. I have multiple different colors, multiple different designs. Get your Unpopular Podcast merch today. Also, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as possible. I appreciate everyone that has subscribed. I appreciate everyone that is spreading the word. If you like the content, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. It definitely means a lot. And I can't grow without you guys. So please subscribe. Also, I understand there's some people that only watch on YouTube and there's some people that only listen on DSPs. So whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get the Unpopular Podcast, please listen, please follow, please subscribe. It means so much to me. No supporter, no platform is more important to me than the other. No platform is bigger than the other. Everything matters and everything is important. And I appreciate all you guys. So if you do listen on DSPs, please subscribe. Also, please follow the socials. Please follow Instagram. Please follow TikTok. I post pretty much daily there. That's where we can debate. We can go back and forth. If you keep it respectful, I don't mind going back and forth. I don't mind debating sports with you. It just means that not only you're passionate in whatever we're talking about, but you're listening to me, and it definitely means a lot. So also, actually, a lot of the reels that you see on YouTube, a lot of the shorts, I have to cut them down to 1 minute. They're longer usually, so if you want to see the entire short, the entire reel, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, and it'll be there. So I appreciate you guys. I am going on a break for the next 2 episodes. Next week, I will not be here. It is my birthday coming up. I am going out of town. So there will not be an episode next Wednesday or next Saturday because I will be out of town. Again, I'm going out of town for my birthday, so I will not be here. I appreciate you guys. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. What day? I'm going to let you guys know what day I will. It's probably a Tuesday. I will be back on the 23rd of July. So I'm just letting you guys know now. I appreciate you guys. I will not be here next week. It is my birthday, and I'm going out of town. So until next time, much love.